Welcome back. Now, Rand Water has embarked on a winter maintenance project to safeguard the lifespan of its water infrastructure. Earlier this year, National Treasury amended the private-public partnership regulations to exempt infrastructure projects of below 2 billion rand from tedious procurement processes. In the water economy, this will help support more localized projects such as wastewater upgrades, pipe replacement or alternative water sources in drought-prone areas. Shyam Misra, Group MD of Siza Water, joins us for a closer look at the country's water economy. Shyam, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. And perhaps let's start by putting things into perspective here when it comes to the water crisis. Are we in a crisis? Are we in panic mode because of the current maintenance schedule?
Good afternoon. I think, to hit the ground running, to state, are we in crisis? I think, yes, we are. When you look at the SONA addressed earlier this year by the president himself, prioritizing water, recognizing the critical state of the water supply systems in South Africa. When you even look at the blue and green drop reports by the Department of Water and Sanitation, it also reveals a startling decline in the quality of water and wastewater infrastructure, which is testimony to what we find now with two metros in the country having issues with water in Gauteng as well as in eThekwini. And I think, when you got two major hubs in two provinces, and I think Gauteng being the economic hub of South Africa, housing many head offices, as well as being an international destination of commute to the country, I think we're definitely in a crisis with regard to the state of infrastructure. And I think it's been recognized by the minister as well as by the presidency.
And just perhaps let's get into the challenges we're facing, especially when it comes to infrastructure, and how that also weighs on the maintenance schedule, where unlike, load shedding, you can switch on and switch off. However, with water, that can't happen.
Yeah, there's an old saying and cliched saying that says there's no substitute for water. And I think water is basically the primary resource that we all look to for recreation. We look for it for sustenance, and it's the primary resource of life. We can do without electricity for a period of time. And as South Africans, in the past, we've had periods of interrupted power supply, and we've managed to basically come out of that. But the water is a very different dilemma where, for just your hygiene, and you'll find when you have no water supply, you're not able to bath, have your domestic needs taken care of. But more importantly, it also then affects businesses, schools, hospitals, and that's why it becomes so critical to make sure that we have efficient and stable water supply systems that can support the needs to grow our economy and also alleviate unemployment.
And now let's talk about investment. You touched on how President Ramaphosa mentioned issues around water supply and infrastructure in the SONA and how that was top priority. We also know that Ramaphosa said reforms in the water sector are an attempt to increase investment as well in the maintenance and construction of water infrastructure to, of course, then improve the quality of water. Has there been any reform? Is policy encouraging?
Yes, I think definitely. You spoke a little earlier with regard to the procurement processes, because I think generally in terms of the current procurement processes, it becomes very difficult or laboriously long for players like the private sector to get involved in government services. So the amendments of the projects to the tune of approximately 2 billion rand will definitely fast track reforms and hopefully alleviate some of the stresses that we're finding in the water sector. And South Africa is a water stressed country. We're one of the driest countries in the world, ranking in the top 30 driest countries. So the reforms will definitely play a role to allow the public and private sector to collaborate, to fast track the reforms that are needed to stabilize our water supply system and then stabilize the economy to a large extent as well. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, especially where we're thinking on the other side of the fence, having a track record of almost 26 years operating two water concessions,
Yeah.
we have the experience, expertise, and the ability to raise funding for these projects. And I think the unique situation is that we've had two case studies in Mbombela and in Belito that showcase that the private sector has a role to play and can assist government in delivering quality services.
And perhaps let's zoom into that a bit more, and you can take us through some of the projects Siza has been involved in the water sector.
Yeah, so I think South African Waterworks owns two water concessions, one in the Mbombela, the other one in Belito. So the one in Belito is called Siza Water, the one in Mbombela is called Silelumanzi. Both have a multitude of projects that have implemented over the last 26 years. But I think one of the very proud projects we have at Siza is a water recycling facility that we implemented in the last drought in approximately 2016, 2017, which still runs today, where we basically take the final effluent of our wastewater treatment plant and we then convert it into potable drinking water quality standards, which then assisted us in lifting restrictions or easing restrictions during the drought, and then also not burdening the traditional water supply system to supply water. So, everyone talks about minimal wastage and trying to create zero effluent wastage in many sectors, but we did it in a short time. We produce about 4 million liters of water, potable drinking water quality every day since about 2017, 2018 now. And it's still running. I think we have the expertise and experience to expand this if it's needed, it's modularized. But it is a very proud project. But I think the projects we've implemented have definitely facilitated development. And Belito is one of the fastest growing nodes in South Africa. And we've definitely played our role as the water service provider to the Ilembe district municipality in facilitating development, providing stable services, and making sure we still maintain regulation and governance from the same perspective.
All right, let's leave it there, Shyam. Thanks so much for your time and sharing those insights. That was Shyam Misra, Group MD of Siza Water.